Welcome to This Day for this Tuesday, May 21st. I'm Paul Ortiz, and I'll be filling in for Michael Taylor today, who's on vacation. Today in our program, we'll have Siobhan Foster with us. She's going to give us a VMS update. We're going to learn some important information regarding the Clubhouse 1 renovation, and it's also budget season, and there's a bunch of other items that we're going to be discussing as well. So be sure and stay tuned for that, and that's going to be a little bit later on our program. And we're also going to take you out to the Laguna Hills Memorial Day Half Marathon. It is going to be Memorial Weekend. The event's going to start on Monday, and they are going to have runners out there at 6:30 in the morning, and they're going to be running through a portion of Laguna Woods Village. If you live over in the Gate 2 area, they're going to have runners that are going to be going through there and travel down via Estrada and then down Aragon. So if you've ever seen that, I've actually participated in that a couple of times. It's a very fun event. The people that leave at 6:30 are very serious. They want to run really fast, so they'll be going through the community pretty quickly, and then they'll probably be exiting out towards Aliso Viejo when they start running that longer portion of this race. They're only going to be in the community probably for about an hour, so if you get up early at 6:30, you'll see them come through that Gate 2 area and cheer them on, and then hopefully the last ones, that was me, the last ones at 7:30 will be coming by once again. That's going to be on Monday, so be sure and be a part of that. Well, let's take a look outside. The weather's going to be kind of that May gray. They're saying sunny this afternoon, and then that's basically what it's going to look like for the next couple of days. As you see, the temperatures will come down as we approach Memorial Weekend. The temperatures are going to be in the low 70s, high 60s for the next couple of days, and then nice temperatures overnight at 55 degrees. Hey, let's take a look at that sunrise and sunset. That is 5:46 this morning. Sun came up, and then this evening it's going to be 7:49. Beautiful picture from Debbie Dotson, Swiss Alps from Lake Zurich. Beautiful. And Debbie's actually doing a wonderful show with us called Senior Travel Adventures. And if you get a chance to see that in our guide, she's doing a great job of talking about the different places she's visited and how she can help prepare, and you can prepare to go to all these wonderful destinations that she's been at. Hey, we only have one meeting this afternoon, so let's take a look at that. And then right after this break, we'll be back with Siobhan Foster.
Hey, beach walkers, grandkid chasers, stair climbers, dance lovers, weekend warriors, and yogis. Your life demands activity, and joint pain shouldn't hold you back. Get personalized joint care that's as unique as you, with high satisfaction rates to prove it. At Memorial Care, your joint replacement patient navigator will be by your side, helping you safely return to more. Like another beach, extra hug, and one more song. More from life is calling with Memorial Care.
Join us on the set now, Siobhan Foster. She's our Chief Executive Officer of VMS with our usual VMS update. Good morning. Good to see you.
Paul.
You have a lot of information to share today with us. The first thing you want to start off, though, is that Clubhouse 1 renovation that everybody's really interested in.
Right. So I just wanted to provide a quick update. Things are going very well. The work is about 40% complete and proceeding on schedule for an early September reopening, which is very good news. And per the work schedule, the contractor just finished the exterior painting and is finishing up the window and door replacements, and will begin on the interior component replacements, including flooring, lighting, and bathroom fixtures.
Right. Well done.
Let's hope it stays on
time and on budget,
exactly.
Right? That's all that matters, too.
The next thing I wanted to highlight is the budget. We have kicked off version 1 of the budget meetings. And so last Wednesday, we had our capital review with GRF. And this week, we move into more of the operating departments. United and Third are both reviewing maintenance and general services this week. Those meetings are on Thursday, May 23rd at 1:30 for United and 9:30 a.m. for the Third board in the boardroom. And the full schedule for the budget reviews are on the website under the news tab.
Okay. And that version 1 usually goes through June, and then once that kind of gets settled, then we go through the next version the following month?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so this is, again, just the first version, and there'll be multiple changes. And
Right.
So,
Speaking of changes, you also are changing the employment requirements here in our community, where residents can now be more involved with VMS staff.
that's correct. So in recognition of the difficult labor market, the members of VMS, which are Third United and GRF, have amended the VMS bylaws to allow residents to become full-time employees if they're so inclined. So residents can now apply for all full-time open positions. And to find those positions, please visit the village website, scroll to the site's footer, and click careers.
When we're starting to see more of that, I know there's a couple, I believe, that work down on the first floor that are working in resident services. And speaking of resident services, Chuck's always happy to tell you about his calls and what kind of answer, ratio he has.
Yes, so I
That's
wanted
good
to
news.
share, the resident services April call statistics. This is the best month we've had since I've been here in 5 years. So based on 8,700 calls, resident services achieved a high time answer rate with 91% of the calls being answered. And the average hold time is only 53 seconds for the month of April, which is just remarkable.
That is, yeah. A lot of us have called a lot of call centers, and you're on hold for way longer than 53 seconds, and then you usually have to leave a message anyway. So it's nice that we have people down there that are answering the calls quickly and getting these questions answered.
Right, and we also have a new feature where residents can leave their callback number, get called back rather than staying on hold and maintaining their place in line. So
Super.
Very exciting. And then for recreation, we have the reservation lottery for room rentals is underway for 2025. And basically the details are you can get a lottery card in the recreation office, or you can email your reservation request to recreation@vmsinc.org. This covers clubhouses 1, 2, 5, and 7, which are open daily from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and the Performing Arts Center, which has more limited hours based on the events that are taking place there. And these requests are due by Monday, June 17th.
That's your deadline. And the city also is working right now on their general plan, and of course we're 97% of the city, if not more, and that's important that we're a part of that process.
Right, so they're updating their general plan to comply with state housing law and also to better represent existing land uses, because it's been a while since they've looked at it. There are 2 proposed changes within the village. One is the change of Garden Center 1 from high-density residential to open space recreation, so it would match the other garden center here in the village. And then El Toro Water District owns parcels throughout the village, and these are proposed to be rezoned from residential community to community facilities, public, institutional. So no impact on the village.
Right.
But
just some paperwork and kind of cleaning up the language a little bit.
correct.
Great.
And so if anyone's interested, the notice of availability of draft environmental impact report and the proposed general plan elements and zoning code amendments are available on the city's website on the address shown on the screen, or you can get a copy in person at the city clerk's office. And then if you have any comments, they're due by June 23rd to the city, again, by the contact information on the screen.
Right, great. Now, landscaping is always a big topic around our community, and that's been like that for nearly 60 years now.
Yes.
And that's you have an update regarding that.
I do. So we're taking an operational performance review, a technical look at landscaping services and how we provide services here in the village. And this is intended to identify and report areas of inefficiency and ineffectiveness within the department, to pinpoint cost savings opportunities, and to determine ways to enhance resident satisfaction. So this is just kicked off, and it'll be about a 6-month review. And then we've also implemented quality control software that our director has recently demonstrated at the landscape committee meetings. But we're excited about that because it dovetails into my next slide, which is we've hired a landscape services quality control service supervisor. So he reports directly to the department head and inspects the work performed by our ground crews within 1 week of the services being performed. He goes by and identifies deficiencies, takes a look at plant health and turf coverage, and he's also reporting other issues he may see for other departments. So just an extra set of eyes out there in the field.
Perfect. And actually a VMS employee as
Yes.
well? Okay, perfect.
And his name is Damian Gonzalez. He joined us last month. He's very qualified for this role. He has a Bachelor of Science in Plant Science from Cal Poly and an Associates of Art in Agricultural Science and extensive pest and landscape management experience.
Right, and in that industry, going to Cal Poly, that's the school to go to.
Exactly.
We're looking forward to having Damien on board and helping us out through that process.
Yes, thank you. And then Memorial Day at the PAC is coming up. Join everyone for a day of remembrance of those who died serving our country with a ceremony and a concert. This will be Monday, May 27th at 1 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center. The ceremony will feature the All-American Boys Chorus, American Legion Post 257, and guest speakers.
And that's going to be, you can get tickets for that though. They're going to ask you to get tickets for that from 9 to 5 o'clock while quantities last. And the All-American Boys Choir has always been a great staple in our community, and we always look forward to seeing them. So it's a popular program, so be sure and get your tickets.
Yes. Tomorrow is Southern California Edison's Spring Power Briefing. If anyone is interested, this is a virtual session to review the utility's 2024 rate forecast and key issues related to the electric industry. And it will be 9:30 to 11 a.m. Registration is required to receive a copy of the presentation, and the registration link is shown on the screen.
Right. Speaking of electricity, you have the next thing. It's called Village Tech Tools. I'm kind of interested to hear about this. This is new to me.
Okay, so we're always trying to encourage our residents to take advantage of our technology. Not only does it make things more efficient, it helps save costs. But the first thing I want to touch on is the Village website redesign. It's in process, and this includes design concepts, content rewrites, reconfiguration for ease of use, and search functionality. And so moving into tech tools, again, we encourage our residents to use the tools that are available to them. One is Easy Pay. Residents may automate their monthly payments using Easy Pay. And right now, approximately 25% of our community still pay via check. But if all monthly assessments are automated, we can save about $50,000 per year.
Right.
And again, this is convenient for members. Monthly payments are withdrawn on the same day each month, and the payment amount is automatically adjusted each year.
Yeah, it's a terrific service, and a lot of HOAs are utilizing it. And of course, a lot of, just paying your utilities is all done through that as well.
Right.
So people are slowly becoming more used to it.
They are.
Yeah.
And then residents can learn to use the Village Tech Tools. We have a partnership with the PC Club that's located here on the 3rd floor. They offer monthly training classes at no cost. And the next class is Wednesday, June 19th at 1 p.m. And then we encourage our residents to use Dwelling Live to have their guests enter through our gates. There's a user-friendly app that works 24 hours a day. And this can save up to $1.60 per call. If you go electronically, you avoid having to use our staff to handle the calls. We encourage you to use the tools. And then the resident portal offers great ways for our residents to contact resident services. They can submit service requests, process credit card payments, check account balances, etc. And there's a great tutorial at the link listed on the screen before you.
Yeah. I'd like to just talk a little bit about broadband, because that's kind of what I do. We have a lot of people that are still writing checks for just like $8.99 and things like that, because they only have one box or something like that. But we do want to encourage residents too. Not only can you use the resident portal for all of the fees that are associated with your HOA, but also broadband. So you could pay your movie, HBOs and your Cinemax and things of that nature. And again, as we mentioned, it's going to save the community money. The less we have to mail out and print paper and all the invoices
checks
and process checks, it's going to save the community a lot of money if everybody can just do it electronically. There are safeguards in place in not only VMS but in broadband to make sure that credit card information is safe and that your transaction is safe. So we encourage you to be sure and be a part of that process and then once again, save the community some money.
Thank you, Paul. I also wanted to mention that What's Up in the Village is the Friday e-blast that goes out to more than 17,000 recipients and contains news and events information, amenities and activities, reminders and information, Village television movies, a list of all upcoming meetings. You can subscribe to this by emailing info@lagunawoodsvillage.com if you're interested. And lastly, we want to encourage residents to receive their required mailings, their November and April mailings electronically, and again, help save the community money. If all 12,000 members opt out of paper mailings, our annual savings would be in excess of $90,000.
Right.
And they can do this in a number of ways, either using the resident portal or by emailing information at vmsinc.org. And lastly, just a reminder, if you haven't updated your email address and it's changed, just to stay in contact with the village, please do so by emailing resident services at vmsinc.org. That way we can stay in contact with you.
Exactly. That's a great opportunity for people to get that information to resident services and make sure they get everything that, all the correspondences that we're sending out to them as well.
Exactly.
Now, you have to get off to Third Mutual this morning. They're going to be live here in the boardroom at 9:30, so we're going to let you get going. They should have a very interesting meeting. If you're living in Third Laguna Hills Mutual and you were in one of the condos, they'll be having their live broadcast at 9:30 this morning if you're watching our morning program. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Paul.
We'll be back with more of This Day right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Summertime and the living's easy, except if you have sunburns and too much sun in your eyes and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about some of the dangers of our summertime fun with Dr. John Hovannisian from Harvard Eye Associates. Welcome to the program.
How are you? Summer's here, Michael.
Summer's
it's
here,
exciting.
Right? And it is fun, and we have a lot more sunshine, and our eyes are going to be getting a lot more sunshine, and we're going to be outdoors a lot more. And there's some of the things that kind of happen along the way, right?
Yes.
And so we have some summer eye problems we want to tell people about, like summer eye allergies, right? And why is it different in the summer? Because of all the pollens?
Oh yeah. Well, we just had all the rain that came and more or less passed, I think now, and we've got wind and we've got the sun is heating all those plants and feeding them energy so that they're growing. And what are they producing? Pollen. And anytime we get wind, especially those Santa Ana winds that blow the dust, which is another problem, and pollen from the desert, or just blows it around our yards, we're exposed to all of those things that cause us allergies.
Right, and people are taking, the allergy medications, those kinds of things, but it's a real factor for our eyes, right? And it just really kind of gets to us. In the sun itself, there's things like corneal burns, which I would imagine is extreme, but just the sun hitting our eyes without any good protection is a real challenge too, right?
Sure, there's no question that sun is harsh on us, and it's a lot more intense in the summertime. So we see conditions like pterygium and pingueculum, which are thickening on the white of the eye that come from sunlight.
Okay.
But the heat also just it dries your eyes more because you're in a drier environment where the water on your eyes, the tears evaporate more quickly.
Right, that's our third one on the list is the dry eyes, right? Because people call us, it's a dry heat, but it is it is evaporate up, it goes away, so that the moisture in our eyes, I imagine, evaporates even faster too, right?
It does. And you think about it, the eyes are this unique part of the body because it's this moist surface that is continuously exposed when we're not blinking. And so it is a perfect place for pollens and dust and other things to stick and cause irritation to our mucous membranes on our eyes. And it also is exposed and therefore it dries. And so we have real issues with keeping a smooth surface of fluid on our eye to help us see well.
Right, but that smooth surface also is keeping stuff away from getting into our eyes, right? So that's our number 4 on our list is like the increased risk for infection because of all the exposure, all the stuff hitting our eyes, and maybe a little drier, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so infection, and I'll add to that exposure, so chemical exposure, we're in our yards more, we're doing things outdoors more, and there's risk for injury that comes with that, there's risk for for exposure to chemicals and just sunscreen, which is great for our skin. But when we get it in our eyes, it's certainly irritating, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Now, one of the other things in there is, it's summertime. There's more light. People are doing more stuff. They're up later. Kids are. I remember in the summer, I used to stay up all night. We have like tired eyes. And we're just kind of a lack of sleep, or we're not giving our eyes enough rest that they need.
Yeah, people get on average about 40 minutes less sleep during the summer months than they do during the winter months. That's a well-studied phenomenon, and particularly now that we have all these smart watches that track our sleep. We're really seeing that that's true. And so sleep is the time our bodies regenerate. It's when they recover from the injuries of the day or the stress of the day. And so, it's not just so much a feeling of tired eyes. We have less capacity to recover from the minor injury that we incur during the day when we don't sleep as well.
Yeah, I know that, like the heaviness of the eyes sometimes at the end of the day, I'm like, my eyes need to rest.
Time to sleep. Time to sleep. Yep.
All right, so we talked about some of the issues we have there, but how about some of the things we can do in terms of taking care of our eyes during the summer? Number one is wearing those sunglasses, right?
Yep.
If we're going to be in the sun a lot, there's that protection.
Yep, and you don't need to spend a fortion on sunglasses to have good eye protection. You need to have something that fits you well, that you're willing to wear, that you see well enough with, prescription if you need that. For your own eyes, something that wraps around well so that it covers on the side, so you're not getting a lot of exposure that way. And something that has UV protection. UV 400 is the number to look for. Not all eyeglasses are labeled well for that. There's not a lot of regulation, but decent sunglasses usually have some labeling as to how their UV filter works.
Without the UV protection, without the sun, what's happening in our eye with the sunlight? Is there actually damage that can occur into our eye? What's the result of that?
At all different levels of the eye, and different wavelengths of UV will penetrate different layers of the eye and cause damage. But we know everything from pingueculum on the surface of the eye to macular degeneration at the back of the eye has a component that comes from UV damage. And so protecting our eyes from UV with protective sunwear is just a smart thing to do.
Can you see that when you examine a patient and look at the back and say, hey, it looks like you have some sun damage here?
Yeah,
but it might be a lot of factors, right?
Well said. That's exactly right. Macular degeneration, for example, is age is number one, and heredity plays a role. Diet and other metabolic disease can play a role, but absolutely exposure and sunlight we think plays an important role in that disease.
Now, wearing sunscreen, how does that help our eyes?
Well, not so much for our eyes directly, but for the skin around the eyes, because we treat an awful lot of skin cancers on the eyelids. It's one of the commonest places people get them because, the eyelid, the lower part of the cheek in particular, 97% of the cancers we see there, basal cell carcinomas, happen in that area because of just the unique exposure. So we often aren't great about getting sunscreen close to our eyes because we're worried about getting it in. But so if you wear your sunglasses and you wear a hat with a brim, that helps a huge amount. You can be more conservative with the sunscreen, but protect the eyes one way or another. Protect them from the sun.
Yeah, I've turned into an old person at the beach. I'm under an umbrella. I have the hat on and the sunglasses.
That's a smart person. That's not an old person. That's triple coverage. That's belt and suspenders, Michael.
I'm the person I used to make fun of when I was a kid at the beach.
That's it. Big old baggy shorts, the metal detector out there.
Drinking plenty of water, I assume that helps with the dry eyes, right? Or keeping that stuff going.
And dehydration. We talked a little bit about that. Everything. We sweat more and we lose more water naturally in the summertime, and so drinking plenty of water addresses dry eye and helps us just stay healthier.
Okay. And we can also, if we have that even more of a challenge with dry eye, how about eye drops? Is that good advice there?
Absolutely. So lubricant eye drops are always the kind of first line of defense when you're actually having dry eye symptoms. They're plentiful and available. They're not expensive. You don't need to buy super expensive ones. There are those that are preservative free, and those are great if you're going to take them more than about 4 times a day because the preservatives at that point start to irritate you. But if you're not sensitive to the drops and you're just using them occasionally, you can buy any brand that suits you. And you have to try different ones because different brands, just like with skin moisturizers, you might prefer one over another. So you got to try a few different ones.
Okay. Are there different chemistries to the eye that would make mine different than how yours would prefer?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's hard to predict. It's hard to look at an eye and say, "Ooh, this drop is going to be right for you."
Oh, wow.
It's easier just to try different ones and kind of see what you like. What you like is good for you.
And finally, we're splashing around, we're at the beach, we're at the pool. Wearing goggles is a good protection for the irritants that are in the waters?
Yeah, I don't let my kids, and I never get in a swimming pool without goggles on, and the ocean too is just full of nasty stuff. Even adequately chlorinated swimming pools can facilitate infections that are really nasty in the eye. And it's just
then
no point in
the
doing
chemical
that.
chlorine itself, right, is going to irritate the eye.
That's right. Yeah, just the fact that it's not, you know, balanced. It's pH balanced, but you know the salts in it are irritating the eyes. They cause swelling in the eye, which opens the way for infection and just irritation to the surface. So just wear the goggles, and you see better underwater too.
Yeah, and as a kid, I remember the summers in the pools, and my eyes were always red by the end of the day.
Awful, the things we used to do, right? Let's not make those mistakes
things we
as
used to
adults.
torture ourselves with.
Right.
If someone's having a challenge, if someone's having difficulties, what can we do? Should we come in and see you?
Yeah, so if your eyes are irritated for whatever reason, a couple things to try. Again, lubricant eye drops are always terrific. Warm compresses are helpful, particularly if they're dry. Sometimes cold is better, particularly if you had a lot of itching. Itching it usually is a signal of allergy, and allergy, you know, responds a little better to cold. So it's not like bad for you to use warm compresses if you have allergy, or good for you to use, you know, or bad for you to use cold if you've got dry eyes. Just try them and see what makes it feel good. And of course, seeing a qualified eye doctor is a great way to, you know, something we all ought to be doing anyway. At least once a year, certainly if we're over age 50, and so
I'm there.
You know,
Well, I have a qualified eye doctor right here, Dr. John Hovanesian from Harvard Eye Associates. Thank you so much for joining us today.
it's great to see you, Michael.
We're going to be right back.
The King Living mid-year sale is on now. 5 decades of Australian furniture design, crafted for a lifetime of comfort. So why buy ordinary furniture when you can come home to King? Sale on now.
Well, Memorial Day is Monday, May 27th, and we have some special programming to share with you, and that's going to be here on Village Television, and that's going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's the Thomas Crown Affair with Steve McQueen, and a classic actor, Steve McQueen. And then, of course, everybody loves Betty White, and we all know that she was such a champion for animals and had done so many wonderful things for the animal population, and she's a terrific lady, and everybody loved her. And that's going to be at 12:30 in the afternoon. Betty White, champion for animals. And then, of course, another person we always admired, that's Huell Hauser, and he's going to be having his California Gold at 5 o'clock, and they're going to be focusing on the In-N-Out Burger, which has turned out to be a pretty successful business for that family. So be sure and tune in for that. That's going to be some of our special programming on Monday, May 27th. Let's take a look at the next one, and we're going to be having that wonderful car show on May 27th as well. That's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's going to run until noon. That's going to be right at Clubhouse 7. This event honors our men and women who have died while serving in the military, so don't miss this opportunity to enjoy a day of classic cars and camaraderie. And of course, it's free to Laguna Woods residents and their guests. And that Clubhouse 7 parking lot is going to be filled with beautiful cars. And that car club does an incredible job over there. And I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. And that's going to be starting at 10 o'clock on Monday. And that's going to be on Memorial Day. Let's take a look outside. It's still that May gray, and we're going to have some overcast at least for a couple more hours if you're watching our morning program. If you're catching our lunch program, 12:30, it's probably starting to clear up a little bit, but we're looking at basically May gray, early mornings and late afternoon, and then as that starts to fade, temperatures will start to rise a little bit, but I can see very comfortable temperatures in the low 70s and the high 60s, and overnight, nice temperatures in that 55 range. Hey, be sure and join us tomorrow. Bobby Higgins will be here, and she's going to be talking to the Saddle Club. And then we have another new club that's joining us, and that's Prepare for Your Third Act, and they'll be on the program tomorrow. From all of us here at Village Television, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.